morning, Paul. How are you?
All right. Sans the picks, what did you see in Mullins that you liked?
Executing the offense, and by that I mean just you run a route. It's designed to attack a certain coverage or give you certain options, and quarterback has to go through his progressions and deliver the ball where it needs to go, and he did that. And so, from that respect, getting a chance to watch it, he did a very nice job executing the offense. I mean, outside of the two, it's amazing. It's so what's the word I'm looking for here? It's just so up or down. I mean, there's so many plays where he did such a great job, and then there's a number of plays where you think you're like the guy's either in disaster or teetering on it. I mean, the 2 touchdowns to Addison were both plays where you're like, you're just, and then boom, good things happen. And it was right after 2 plays of I don't know, on that first pick still, I don't know who or where he was throwing that football to. And then the second one was just dumb. I mean, he was sacked on the play just prior and was on the way down again and just tried to get rid of the football, and unfortunately he got rid of it right to the lap of one of the since DJ, not DJ Reader, but
BJ Hill.
Yeah, and so
that's unbelievable. And nose tackle has interceptions 2 consecutive games.
Yeah, two in a row. Similar.
Yeah.
The first one was a tip by Hendrickson, and then or sacked by Hendrickson where he caught the ball. Anyway, it's just where if we can just continue on the path that he's on as far as diagnosing and delivering the football, and then just try to eliminate some of these panic. I don't know if you want to call it panic or just bad decisions or just big mistakes. Then you're gonna have a good backup quarterback.
I'm watching Mullins passes, his shotgun stuff. I'm pretty much 3/4 through the game. I've been doing it during the show, and the reason I wanted to do it was to see how well Chandler did in pass protection, because the last time we saw Ty in pass protection in a significant spot, he was getting trucked by Josie Jewell, and I mean that was super negative with the A gap rush. Well, the first one was fantastic. Mike Hilton came on a nickel blitz. Chandler picked it up, stood him up, and Mullins threw it the other way. The after that, it's been a lot of C.J. Ham. I mean, it depends. Well, down in distance, I know matters here. Where if you're going to put your quarterback on a 5 or a 7-step drop, then C.J. seemed to be getting those reps. But Ty was in there doing a pretty good job, so I think he improved at that.
Yeah, he was, and he's improving all the way around. So maybe he's finally feeling a little bit more comfortable. Do you remember what the Bengals were doing along those same lines on 3rd down?
What?
They were putting, it was either
Hudson and Wilcox.
Yeah, they were putting them in the backfield.
Yep.
Right. They wouldn't even have a running back in the game. They just put a tight end in the backfield and let him do the pass pro. So when you're going to get the blitz and with the Lions, that might be the only thing that Jahmyr Gibbs doesn't do well. He's not a very good pass protector. So that's one of the things where if you see him in the backfield, you say, all right, let's just get after him, because it might be better than letting him get out of the backfield.
Yeah, very good point there with the Lions on the horizon. And when you played for the Vikings in the late 90s until the early 2000s, I mean the 98 Vikings, obviously one of the best in the history of the team, but you played against some Lions teams now with Luther Ellis and Robert Porcher and Barry Sanders and the nice receiver. Who was the tall receiver? They had a really good receiver there before Calvin Johnson. Herman
Moore?
Thank you. So they had some players, but they could never get over the hump. No. I'm not sure you ever lost to the Lions when you played, did you?
I don't think so.
Right. And
I don't think so. And it's ironically, I loved the Silverdome. The Silverdome was one of my favorite places to play. And I just remember going there when the last year we went to Pontiac when they were moving downtown. And you know how we get the nice fancy police escort from the hotel to the stadium, right?
Yeah.
Well, we got that police escort, and they did escort us, but they didn't do anything to move traffic. They didn't turn their lights on. So we sat in traffic with a cop car in the front of the bus line and the back of the bus line, but we waited just like everybody else. It might have taken us an hour, hour and 15 minutes to get there. And it was just the Pontiac cops' way of saying, you know what, screw you guys. We're just going to make you wait because of what the Lions did to the city. So that's one of my memories. That not sleeping well, getting my first start.
Ooh.
My first NFL start was in Detroit, against Barry. So
how'd it go?
It went fine. Well, I tackled him, I think 5 times.
Hey.
In a phone booth, though. It was never an open field. I want to say that very clearly.
So no Barry jump cutting, analyst cleats on field?
No. That's what everybody would say.
Yeah.
Don't be on the Cadillac commercial. You don't want to be on the Cadillac commercial. I'm like, great. That's what I'm going to be known for, is being on a Cadillac commercial.
Well, the reason I'm bringing it up is if they win Sunday, then they win the division for the first time in 30 years. And it would happen at our stadium against our team, with an analyst on the microphone who's not used to seeing the Lions beat the Vikings, but none of us, I mean, seriously, if you started following football 22 years ago or whatever, and, then you're like age 7, 8, 9, 10 or whatever, them winning the division just never happens. It's probably going to happen this year, but hopefully it's not in our gym.
It's amazing how over the last, let's just say 30 years, it went from, you beat the Lions, right? You just beat the Lions and you got to deal with Green Bay, maybe, every once in a while Chicago. To the last, I don't know how long this goes back now, but where we have beat them here and then it's always a dogfight in Detroit, right? It's kind of like, and then it's like, okay, so you kind of get used to maybe splitting with them. Well, they've continued to get better, and now you're sitting there going, here we go with the division, division leader, and we've got to beat him twice. And so getting them at home, the first game, is a huge thing. I think watching the difference in this team and this Lions team between when they played the Bears in Chicago and against Denver. At home, they're a different team at home. Now, of course, we have the same, a dome, the same surface, but they are a different team at home. I mean, they came out against Denver and said, we're just going to throw the football. I think 9 of their first 11 plays were just passes. First 6 plays, first series, first drive, throw the ball. That's just what they did. That's kind of what their identity is. They can run the football. I think they wait sometimes till later, but in Chicago, it was a little different feel, little more inaccurate on Goff's part. That's what you have to watch. Cause if Goff, if he's on fire and he gets confident and starts getting it in tight places, and if he's still making those completions, then look out, because this offense is good.
What did Chandler give we generally don't get from Madison?
You know what? I just think he has this ability to take his time and then let things develop and then hit his stride. Right. I think that's it. I think with Madison, he's like a bull in a china shop, right? You hand him the ball and he just goes. Whereas I think Chandler has just a little bit more of a fluidness to him, a little bit more of a just let things develop, especially those off-tackle plays, because you got to move in a 3 technique and then kick out that outside linebacker and then work up to that safety or whoever's, and you just have to let that gap kind of develop itself. And I think the offensive line, did a good job, a very good job for us. And so Darisaw, Reisner, that left side of the offensive line is the combo blocks and some of the things they're doing in the run look good. You get Josh Oliver on that side. Now you're dealing with something. You're also, we've seen our running game change, right? We pull guards now. We didn't pull guards early in the season,
right?
You didn't see a trap, or you didn't see a power or a counter, nothing. You didn't see any of that. But now we're starting to see that. I think that's something that Ed Ingram will hit you, right? If you let him pull and say, all right, you just pull and you just kick out the first colored jersey you see that's opposite color, he'll do that. He'll go and knock your eyeballs cross. I mean, that's something that he likes to do. And Reisner's the same way, right? He's aggressive. He blocks down the field. So we've gotten that out of our guards, and I think that gives us another little bit of a change up to our running game. So the combination, I think, of a little bit more counter, a little bit more power, and some better combo blocking up front is also helped Chandler quite a bit.
Are we up here running the counter tray with Russ Grimm and Joe Jacoby?
Exactly. We're going back. Yeah, we're kind of going back to that counter OT. Throw it all in there. But
right.
It's kind of neat. It's neat to see that we're getting a bit of an identity, if you will, in the running game, because that's something that this team's been lacking.
Pete Bercich, analyst for the Vikings Radio Network, decade and a half, a little more, about 16 years. Pleasure working with him. It's 11:18. Good morning. Now, at Pete Bercich via Twitter, if you would like to follow, as 9 to Noon does. How in the heck did they get that chase hit on 3rd and 21? Come on, man.
I know.
And I went back and watched that DJ Moore play. It was the exact same play, but different side of the field, right?
Well, yeah, it was.
He came from the other side.
No. It was still
really.
It was the exact same side of the field and everything. It was the exact same kind of concept.
It was sneaky though, because Chase had to slow roll it. Because when you said that, now once I got access to all this stuff yesterday, that's the first play I went to, and he's slow. Man, you got to slow roll that play. You can't sprint, but then when you plant and put the pedal to the metal and he head left. I mean, it's a spectacular zone buster, but it is. But you need like 5 seconds the quarterback needs 5 seconds.
Yes, there you go. So you that's the one thing. The quarterback needs a lot of time for that play to develop, because you're taking really 2 receivers and clearing out the middle of the field. So you have a go route that's somewhere in the middle of the field or on the far hash mark, and then you have another guy in the slot that's running up the field, and then you're running a deep dig route in behind it. So either some of the underneath coverage needs to get deeper and kind of camp at the middle of the field, or either one of the safeties or the corner needs to squeeze that. So this, with something like that, you have to ask the coaches and say, all right, well, how is this supposed to work? You can play zone, but you just don't drop the spots, right? That's not how zone works in the NFL, because guys are, if you're a half a foot away or a yard away, they're open. They're wide open. So you have to get to a spot and then have a number count and then cheat your zones and kind of, man the area type of a situation. However, we called it pattern reading. They have to figure out a way to just handle that, to pass that off, or to, have somebody in that spot, whether it's the underneath coverage getting deeper, or whatever that may be, especially against a Goff, where even if he does pull that thing down and scramble, it's going to take him a good solid week to get 20 yards on the ground. He's not that fast. So get that underneath coverage and just tell him, hey, at the snap of the ball, you get to the middle of the field, right at the sticks, and just sit there. All right, don't sit 10 yards deep, because the ball's going to go right over your head. Get back deeper. So, however they decide to figure that out, there's a lot of options to what they could do. But it was. I saw that play, and as soon as I saw it, I recognized it, and I said, that is the exact same route, maybe not identically out of the same formation, but it's the same concept.
Yep.
And it's been, it's twice. So. You had a couple, I think with 48 seconds left to go, though, the Caleb Evans throw, we got to find a way to get up there and make a play on that football. It's like rebounding in basketball. Mm-hmm. And wide receivers practice this all the time. Ball underthrown, stop your feet, go up and get it like it's a rebound. Well, DBs are wide receivers that can't catch when they're kids. So, right, you're a wide receiver. Everyone wants to be a wide receiver. You can't catch the ball. Your timing stinks. So they're like, all right, go in that pile over there and be a DB.
Well,
they have to learn that as well.
When T is hot, T's tough. I mean, T's had a weird season because of his contract. Only 2 touchdowns, got himself nicked up a little bit. They were wondering how nicked up he was. He wasn't playing and practicing. You get the whole bit. You've seen it a million times. T is high end when he's engaged. So I'm going to credit T for getting that position on a Caleb. Now, Caleb has to get around it. After I watched that play back a few times, what's really bugging me here with this was Mekhi Blackman, because Hitman blitzed So Blackman is playing safety, in essence, a safety spot with Bynum.
Right.
So he's not sprinting over there. He's jogging, points up to the ball to show a Caleb it's in the air, and then he just like tipped.
It looked to me like he was pointing like, we intercepted it. It's going our way. Like he was anticipating. He's like, "Oh, this ball's going to get picked off."
I have no idea what he's doing.
It's a duck. It's a floater.
And I don't.
Right?
I don't. And you know more about defense. 10 out of 10 times than I'll ever know.
You got to run on the ball. You got to run on the ball till you hear the whistle.
And you got to do one. You got to do one of two things. You got to do two things here, man. If you're going to be safety, run up and smack him. And if you mistime it, it's PI. Okay, it's aggressive, or you knock it away. But if you're standing next to him like you should be, when he spins his arm for the thing, you might be in the way and knock it out. I mean, I can't believe he just stood there.
Yeah, that's effort is effort's running to a play that you don't think you can make. And then, that's what effort is. You run to the ball, it's non-negotiable. You just do that. So it's disappointing, right? Is that the reason you lose the game? I mean, there are a lot of other things I think that came before that.
That's part of it.
The overtime, losing contain, allowing the quarterback to get out there and scramble and Browning to make that big play.
Yep.
There were a number of them that we absolutely let them off the hook, if you will.
Well, I mean, Evans and Blackman at Denver against Sutton. Okay, so
it's the same. It's right. We're seeing that. Right. We're seeing this, especially against these big-bodied wide receivers. So you have to figure out and work on that. It's a skill.
Yeah,
it's a skill you have to develop, the ability to time your jump. And if you're Blackman, it's different for Blackman to learn that skill than for Caleb Evans, because Caleb Evans has some height to him.
Right.
He can go up there. He can jump. Blackman's 5'10". So he has no chance of out jumping a 6'4" wide receiver. So he has to time his jump or go after an arm or do something to pull that ball away. Right? It's a different technique for a different size of a cornerback. That's why on draft week, it's all you hear. He's a 6'2", long arm. They love that. Why? Because that means they can go up and theoretically get that rebound, where guys who are a little more petite, if you will, don't or can't or are going to struggle with that. So I don't know, man. It was hard. It was a hard game to digest, because it was such a great opportunity to win. It's not easy to win in Cincinnati. It just isn't.
No.
Right. And we've seen our record shows it. We struggle whenever we have to go out there.
But see, but the offense mostly looked requisite of what we know this passing offense can look like. So, I mean,
400, we had 420 or 430 some yards of offense, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's how it's supposed to look.
But see, like with Blackman and or Evans, neither one have started a lot of games. And Mackay is a rookie. Well, basically, Caleb is too, given how much time he missed last year.
Right.
So as a coach, forget the fan approach to it. As a coach, when you're looking at moments like that, the Sutton moment, a couple for a Caleb, the worst one was losing the pick in the Chargers game, and Josh Palmer basically wins it. Okay, they know, and
wasn't that Bynum? No, wait,
no, that
Bynum
was
had a couple. Okay, so Bynum had one go through his hands against Kansas City.
Caleb had it in his arms, about to go down. It came out, went into the arms of Palmer, and he scored.
Oh, that's right.
But here's the point: is the players know, okay, this needs to improve. The coaches know this needs to improve. That's just part of the bit, right? That's just part of the process of the improvement, where you have to take it with a metaphorical grain of salt, right?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And they have to go and do what they need to do to get better. But it's just part, you have to remember now, it's just part of the equation. You don't walk through that locker room as a player and then see a Caleb Evans and just, look at him and say, it's your fault. Right. You better figure that out. Mm-hmm. That's not the truth of the matter. That's not exactly what happened. There are some more fundamental things that need to get fixed, and not all. If you just fixed one or two of them, keeping the quarterback in the pocket would have won us that football game, and that's not complicated, right? It just isn't. I mean, I don't know. There's a couple other things, like Troy Dye, the big play early to T. Higgins. I mean, Troy Dye hits hits Browning right as he throws the ball, right? I mean, you're talking about if he's a foot closer to the line of scrimmage or just leaves a fraction of a second earlier, he gets a hit on the quarterback, and that's an incomplete pass. Right? So there's that, too.
How about Patrick Jones trying to run down Browning from behind, and he couldn't get him? I mean, you got to get him. You just got to get him.
Yeah, you would like to see that happen, too. There's a million things when you watch. That's the frustrating part about it, and none of them are none of them make you sit back and go, well, we're just outmanned. Right. Or we just don't have that guy.
Well, I mean,
we just can't keep up with these wide receivers. It's none of that. It's just guys being 100% dialed in. And you got to be perfect sometimes. Right. And you look at, and we can be, because you look at what we did against the Raiders. There was the Raider offense was less of an offense. Believe it or not. I mean, even though they, Devontae Adams and, all that, you had talent out there, but they were a little bit less of an offense, especially I think up front. But you didn't make any big mistakes. You made no glaring mistakes against that team, and look what happened. Well, you start making one here, one there, and it doesn't take a whole lot if a team's, taking advantage of those situations to put up 20-some points on you.
Well, you ain't lying about this Minnesota moving company, because I'm watching these Mullen shotgun plays, and with it was third down, third and long, second down in the fourth quarter, and it was a gun run to Chandler, and I mean, the offensive line just destroyed the Bengals to make a nice. I think I like Ty running out of the shotgun every bit as much, if not more, than like single set or out of the eye. What about you?
Well, he's used to that. And we watched, and I remember doing a film room on him when we drafted him out of North Carolina.
Yeah.
That's all they did, is they ran a counter play out of the pistol or shotgun, and he would take that step to the quarterback, that nice little slow step, take the handoff, and they just pulled and kicked out, and that's all they ran, right? They ran that out of 4 wide all day long. So he's used to that. He did that all through college. So that's something that it's natural for him, that type of a run. So if you're going to start doing some gun runs with some guards pulling, then he loves that play. That's what he grew up on. That's what got him into the NFL. So it's no wonder that he looks natural when he's out there doing it.
I thought, lastly, Byron Murphy Jr. Overall played his best game as a Viking, and we have a common thread developing here, where in these big situations on third downs and into the end zone, the quarterbacks are not going the way of Murphy. So, they're going at the kids, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. And Murphy played a very physical game as well, and he's not a big corner. And because of that, that's the direction. We saw that when Mekhi Blackmon had his couple weeks when Caleb Evans was out, right?
Yeah.
I mean, teams on those quick throws to the outside, they were going after Mekhi Blackmon. They were saying our wide receiver can block a small corner like this, so we can get, instead of it a 2-yard gain, making it a 5-yard gain, 6-yard gain. That's all the difference in the world, right? That's an efficient run, because that's basically what it is. It's a run. So having a Caleb back, you have a bigger body. So they're like, okay, the small guy is now Murphy, and we're gonna go that direction. We're gonna run the ball outside at Murphy. We're gonna run the ball, or we're gonna throw these quick out routes. And Murphy, I think, answered very well physically. Yeah. You saw him attacking, getting downhill, had a couple TFLs. I mean, he played well in that respect, no question. And you're right. When you get to the red zone, you don't want to go after the veteran. You go after the young guys, because they're seeing things for the first time. They're rookies, and you don't need much room or much of a pause to get somebody open. So I think that's just kind of their MO for defenses when we get into our red zone.
The analyst.
Yeah, I might punch him in the face.
See you out there a little bit for some winning formula, okay?
Sounds good,
See
Paul.
You, buddy. Appreciate you.
Go.
Pete Bercich, analyst, Vikings Radio Network.
Yay on the Fan.
Welcome back, 9 to noon. Thanks to Pete Bercich for joining weekly, as he does, analyzing the 27-24 overtime loss. Vikings at the Bengals on Saturday. Looking forward to Christmas Eve and bouncing back with the kiddies in town. But yesterday, immediately following the loss, it's kind of like Head Coach Unplugged, where Ben Leber gets to head to the locker room, chat with the head coach. Here's that conversation. More truncated, I should say, than usual. But after the loss, Leber and the coach. Let's listen.
All right, guys, we're down here in the Vikings locker room with head coach Kevin O'Connell. Just a few quick ones for you here, Coach. I know it's a disappointing loss. You go with Nick Mullen as a starting quarterback. You know, some good plays, some bad plays. How do you evaluate his performance?
Yeah, I thought, Nick did a lot of good things to, generate a lot of production for our offense today. We moved the ball pretty consistently, was happy with the run game. We were able to generate some play pass explosives as well. Two critical, kind of negative plays down there in the red zone really cost you maybe the 3 points that could have decided the football game. But, this was a team effort. We were right there, to put it away a couple times. And you got to give the Bengals a ton of credit for, putting together some drives in the second half and making it an overtime football game.
He really looked comfortable and in rhythm, especially with play action pass. We all talk about play action pass, and you got to get the run game to get going. And Ty Chandler comes in because of Madison's injury and really shows out. Had a bunch of great runs on the inside, had a nice little bounce to the outside for a big gain. How important was he just to set up this whole offense and his performance as well?
Yeah, Ty is one of those guys that we continue to try to build his role and make sure that we're featuring him as part of the offense. Today, essentially took all but one of the running back carries, and we knew coming into it that he was going to be a bell cow for us. He continued to go out there and just churn out yards. Had some great reads and cuts, like you said. Huge performance for Ty. Like the way we got some great production from Jordan, Justin, and TJ in the passing game. And then, Quest stepping in for Brian O'Neill. It was just a lot of guys stepping up. But in the end, it came down to, trying to get about 5-6 inches there. And they, apparently they stopped us. It looked like we got the first one. Don't know what happened there. And then, they stopped us. So got to give them credit. And then they were able to kind of put the game away from there with a huge play there to Boyd.
Our defense played incredible that first half. You look at that second quarter alone, they had 4 third down situations. They averaged 3rd and 13. Just a real credit to the way our defense was playing and kind of holding them in check. Second half, it just seemed like the Bengals offense kind of figured some things out. What did you see that they did? What adjustments did they make against our defense to have a little bit more success there in the second half?
Yeah, I just thought, they were able to, block up some of the pressure looks and get some one-on-one ops down the field. There were some jump ball plays in there. There were some off-schedule plays from Browning, getting out of the pocket and kind of hurting us later on in the down. We'll go back and look at it, but I thought our defense played really well, able to come out, both halves offensively and score on our first drive. Would have liked to maybe extend that lead out even with field goals instead of turnovers down there, because in the end we did lose the turnover battle 2-1 and 2 tough ones down in their end. But we'll continue to battle. This team came on the road, played a team that's playing good football right now. Got a lot of confidence in our group that we're going to come back off this extra day of rest and maybe get a little healthier and 3 NFC North opportunities down the stretch. We're going to give it all we got to go get all 3 of them.
Yeah, Coach, we got two at home and then 1 on the road to close out this regular season. And, use that extra day of rest as much as you can. And we'll see you in a few days against the Detroit Lions.
Thanks, Ben.
That's head coach Kevin O'Connell chatting with Ben Leber immediately following the loss on Saturday. Exclusive KFAN chat between Leber and the coach after each and every win.
Well, when you were saying that was a shorty, you were lying.
No, I'm telling you, he's every loss hurts, but you could feel the vibe where it was like, let's just get back home. Let's reassess this whole thing.
Yeah.
With the way everything went from the fourth quarter and having it in your grasp, you're up 17-3. In some ways, you feel like the game is won or lost with the tush push that's been widely discussed already here 9 to noon. I mean, the coach is pissed about it. The team's pissed, but they're 7-7. They're still in a spot in some ways where they basically control their own destiny.
Crazy.
Go beat the Lions, get back in the mix.
Right. And in Kevin's post-game press conference, his answers were dramatically shorter than they normally are. Kind of the same situation with Nacho as you heard right there. And, I like that Kevin wears his emotions, either with his cadence or on his face.
Yeah.
And you can tell, he's 32 games into a career. And what's his record? He's 20 and 12.
20 and 12.
Yeah, 20 and 12 with a division championship. So you can tell with Kevin when you listen closely, if you listen enough or watch enough, that part of him just wants to say, like after this game, if we don't lose the take give, then all of this that we're talking about, we're probably not talking about.
Yeah.
But he also knows better than anybody because he's been part of crap teams. That Cleveland team, when Manziel was on it, that was a bad team. His 1 year offensive coordinating Washington, they used 4 quarterbacks. They used Haskins, McCoy, Case Keenum, and Alex Smith. So he knows what that's like, but that bit won 3 games. Or 3 or 4, something like that. So, through the 4 quarterbacks, that there's been a turnstile at the offensive line because of injury. Davenport, if you really want to put that into the mix, but I'm not going to. It's raising these young corners. The first 3 where it's abundantly clear, Smith, Phillips, and maybe a few others really got the nuance of what Flores wanted. But that's why until this game, this is what frustrates me so much. Until this game, you're not seeing anybody get over the top on this team.
Right. Defensively.
Throwing it over the top and getting big 20s and 30s and things like that. And that happened. So, it's to whom much is given, much is expected. And his level of expectation is Super Bowl winning high because he knows what it looks like and feels like and what it takes to get there. And then when you finally get the passing game, the pass protection with the second-year running back, it's been a problem, but it wasn't a problem in this game. You finally get that stuff squared away, and then you get freak situations like the tush and T's second touchdown. I'm still trying to figure out what happened on the Tyler Boyd play in overtime.
Yeah.
That's, those. So you look at those and you're just like, wow, there's nothing I can do about that. No, the tush you can, but there's nothing I can do about that. It's in essence like you're handcuffed.
Yeah.
Very frustrating.
The Fan.
All right. I think that Kevin O'Connell press conference is at 2 today, unless something changed over the weekend. So you'll hear from him a couple hours from now. The Tenna Fitzgerald set sail 9 minutes from now.
Ooh.
Filling in for Dan Cole, the common man in the program. And you got the Con hit on it earlier. The Timberwolves and the Heat tonight with Adebayo and Hero returning with the Bulldog to take on Cinci's team, which is at full strength. That's going to be a badass game tonight. I don't know if anybody saw this over the weekend, but after the Wolves beat the
Pacers?
Pacers, thank you.
Yeah.
Rick Carlisle coaches the Pacers, right? I'm tripping.
Yeah, he does.
Yep, thank you. Carlisle said, quote, "This is one of the best teams on the planet. These guys have really got it going here. The building is alive. The environment is way different than it used to be." Hey!
Yeah, Carlisle. And
Jimmy King of the Ropes.
He played at Horton and Company. Played his post game from the night before, in which he's like, "We're on a tough bleeping stretch. You make your per diem, you make a lot of money, but this is what the league is about."
Yep.
And now we got to go to Minnesota.
Oh wow!
And see these guys.
Oh wow!
And how unbelievable they are. So
you never hear that.
Now, there's got to be. I think there's some connection between Carlisle. He went out of his way just to put Finch on a silver platter.
Yeah.
But league wide, people starting to figure it out with the Howl that This is a real pain in the ass to face at any given point in time.
Nordo and I will be listening and or watching that tonight with a report tomorrow. Thank you very much for listening to 9 to noon. Here comes the con to put a wrap on the show.
And thank you to Casey's, by the way. It's 24 days of Casey's Rewards, which means 24 days now through the 24th, and a rewards opportunity, free daily gifts with the Casey's app. Download the app, participate in the rewards, get a free gift. Want more details? All you got to do, go to Casey's.com. Thank you, Casey's. 7-7 Vikes need a kick in the caboose. Late game drama, defense gets loose. Up 17-3, I thought there was never a doubt that we would win, despite Mullins freaking out. Now, of them all, this one hurts, like dropping a plate of Skyline chili down the front of my shirt. Chili's hot, scenario I'd prefer to avoid, like the middle of the field, DJ Moore, Tyler Boyd. And can we be done with the tush push, please? Rube texted in, called it the skull squeeze. The rump bump's one I like, not gonna lie. PA's particularly partial to the brown eye try. But whatever the hell the name is, or whatever the hell the situation the game is, you'll never see a fan base in unison with one scowl than trying to sneak Mullins in front of Brandon freaking Powell?
From blizzards and snow to a Vegas strip show.
Podcast today's Paul Allen Show or listen back to previous show and interviews by going to the iHeartRadio app or